Hello guys, once again welcome back to the channel Rahul Automation Studio. So in my last videos, I have explained you about the testng.xml file. So how you can include different test classes and different test cases in your testng.xml file, and you can create a suite and you can run your testng.xml file. Even though you can rename your testng.xml file with your suitable name, like it is for smoke, regression, sanity, module wise. So any name you can give to your testng.xml file and you can run your test cases in a batch or in a report, right? So now today in this video, I'm going to cover one concept about TestNG, that is invocation count. So it is an important concept that we can use, and also many interview questions will be asked on this particular concept. So we will be covering at that invocation count. So we will go one by one. There are different attribute or different parameters that we can define. So we will go one by one. Okay. So that we will be discussing on at the rate test tag. So this is a one of the test case, right? And here we are verifying one of the title, and maybe the test case can be also based on some, some calculations, or maybe some dumping some data into the database, right? So test case can be anything. So the scenario is, suppose if we want to run our test case, same test case with same values, okay, same test case with same value, but number of times we want to run, so that like we want to create, suppose there is a scenario in live projects, what we do that we want to create number of policies, and then number of policies we want to create with same data for the different testing purpose, and the policies that we want to dump into the database. So how you can achieve with it? You are not going to write down like this is one of the test case, you will copy and you will again write and you will change like this. So suppose today you want to run this test case for 10 times, and tomorrow you want to run the same test case for 100 of times, right? You want to create 100 of policies. So how you do will create? You are not going to write hundreds of times the same test case, right? So how you can achieve it? That same test case, if you want to run number of times, so that you can achieve with one of the value, that is invocation count, and you can give the count value, that how many number of times you want to execute this particular test case. Suppose I am giving count as a 2. By default the test case will be run only once, right? But if you will give invocation count equal to 2, so in that case your test case will be running 2 times. So you want to see, so for that you have to click on run. So invocation count, it will take as an integer value, so you can specify the number here, that how many time you want to execute this particular test case with same values. So just click on run, and once you will click on run, it will start the execution for you, and it has to execute same test case 2 times. You can see one test case is done. Now the second is this. So it is all done and it is passed. So you can see total test run is coming now 2 instead of 1. It is coming as 2, and all 2 test cases are passed for you, right? So this is the way uh, to run same test case multiple times. You can see this is the test case and it has executed 2 times. You can specify any number here. So we will close this and I will specify and mention a different number. Suppose I want to run this same test case 5 times. Okay. So now your same test case will run 5 times. Okay. Just click on run. So this is helpful when you want to execute same test case with same data values multiple times, right? There will be multiple scenarios that you will be having. So you can see it is executing one by one. 5 test case, it 5 times it will execute one by one. Okay. So this is the meaning of invocation count, that how many times you want to invoke, how many times you want to invoke your test case. Whatever the number you will mention in that, that many number of times it will be executing for you. So you can see it is having 5 run, as we have mentioned the count as a 5, and all the 5 are passed, right? You can see in the report also. So to see the report, what you have to do, refresh your project. You have to refresh the project, go to test-output folder, and there will be index.html file. This is a report file that you can open in your browser. So you can see 5 methods, 5 tests, and this is the time taken. This is the same test case. Okay, so like this. Now there is some other attributes that you can use with invocation count. Okay, so what are those? That is invocation timeout. Suppose the time you want to limit it, the time for execution of this. Okay, suppose you want to execute it 2 times, but you want a time permit that it should be complete within 500 milliseconds. It is not possible, even though it will take more time, but this is the time that you can mention. So let's import invocation timeout. Okay, so what is the meaning of invocation timeout? So the meaning of invocation timeout is the maximum time for all the invocations for that particular test case execution. Okay, so we are mentioning 500 millisecond. It is very less. So invocation timeout will be in the milliseconds. So instead of that, you can put at least 5,000 milliseconds. Okay, and once you will click on run, it has to invoke this test case 2 times, but the execution time should not exceed invocation timeout, right? Otherwise that test case will show as a fail. So you can see here only test case 1 has run, and it is showing us that did not finish within timeout 5,000, right? So this is the maximum time that you can give. So you can increase it to 20,000 basically. So 20,000 is basically okay. So we'll click on run. If time will permit, it will invoke 2 times. If only one time execution will happen in that particular given time, then only one will execute. It will not execute 2. But now we have increased the time, so you can see it has executed 2 times. Previous it was 1 time. So like that you have to do, guys. So only one was done. So you can increase the time here. Click on run. Invocation count is 2, and invocation time we have given 50,000 millisecond. So the 2 time invocation, can be executed 50,000 milliseconds. If it will take more than that, the test case will be marked as a fail. Okay, so this is how 1 time it has executed. This is the second time it was executed, right? Now this is about the timeout. If you want to put the limitation for timeout, now you must have the question that if we want to invocation count, suppose we want the invocation count as a 5, right? And it will be executing in the sequence order. So if it is executing in the sequence order, so it will be taking more time for execution, right? Because if you want to execute it 5 times, so it is going to take the time 5 times. But I don't want that. I want time limit should be, the time should be less for the execution for 5 test cases, number of 5 times also. So for that, what you have to do, you have to use some thread pool count, guys. Thread pool count. I don't remember exact syntax, so we'll see. Thread pool count, thread pool size. Okay, so the variable name is thread pool size. So this is the way. What does this mean, thread pool size? So you can see in the description that the size of the thread pool for this method. So this method will be invoked from multiple threads as specified by invocation count. Note, this attribute is ignored if invocation is not specified. So if you want to specify this attribute, invocation count is mandatory. If you will not specify invocation count variable and value, in that case thread pool size will be ignored. Okay, and same is applicable for invocation count also. So for timeout is basically the maximum number of milliseconds that the total number of invocation on this method should take. So this annotation will be ignored if the attribute invocation count is not specified on this method, right? And if it has not written after this step, so it will be marked as a fail. Okay, so thread pool size is if number of threads it will be opening. So we are giving the maximum size is 3 and we want 5 times it should be executed. So at one time 3 browsers will be launched as our thread pool size is 3. Okay, once 3 will execute, after that 2 will be remaining, and after that 2 will be 2 browsers will be invoked. Okay, so we will be removing the timeout limit from here. So we want to give them more time so that it should be executed for number of 5 times. Just click on run. So just a minute, I will just close it, and so, because I want to close all these browsers so that you can see how many browsers it is opening at once. It has to open 3 browsers at once. The number of thread pool size you will give, that many number of browsers it will open. Actually, it is depend on the count of invocation count and thread pool size count. Whatever the number is less, that many number of browsers will be open, guys. If you will specify thread pool size as a 10 and invocation count as a 5, so in that case 5 browsers will be open for you. Okay, so whatever the number will be less out of these two variables, and that many number of times the browsers will be invoked. Okay, so now I have closed all the browsers. Let's click on run, and 3 browsers should be launched at once. So your execution time will be less now. So you can see, guys, 1 2 3 3 browsers are there. 1 2 3 3 browsers are there which are running simultaneously, guys. And once that one test case has done, now it is executing the second remaining 2 test cases. So total 5 browsers, 1 2 3 4 5, because we want the invocation count as a 5. So you can see total test case run as a 5, passes are 5, right? And our this time execution time has taken will be less this time. So 5 times it has executed, and the time taken for the 5 time execution of this test case is less, because parallelly it has executed the test cases this time, right? So this is the meaning for thread pool size, and it is very useful if you want to run your test case in the parallel. Okay, so this is very useful for it. So we have seen invocation count, thread pool size, and invocation timeout. One more attribute you will be thinking that there is timeout is there. What is this timeout? So let's see timeout. So this is the exact name for this particular variable, and you will be saying that we are also having invocation, no? Invocation timeout, right? Specify something, will invocation timeout, right? So what is the difference between these two? So invocation timeout is basically for all the invocations that it should take. If it will take more than this time, the test case will be fail. And this time is basically for your complete test case. Okay, if you will go on timeout, so the maximum number of milliseconds these tests should take. If it has not written after this, it will be marked as a fail. And if you will go on invocation timeout, it is the maximum millisecond total number of invocations on this method should be taken. Okay, so this is for the test case, this is for all the invocations. So this is the difference between these two, right? So you can also click on run, but the maximum time this time it is 3000 milliseconds only, and I don't think it will be able to run. Yeah, it's already closed. So because time is less we have given. So this is what I wanted to explain you about invocation count, thread pool size, timeout, and invocation timeout, guys. So, and for thread pool size and invocation timeout, invocation count is mandatory. If you will not specify, in that case, this variable don't have any meaning. So this is what I wanted to explain you, and this is very useful if you want have some kind of such kind of requirement in your project that you want to create multiple policies or order and then same values you want to dump in your database. So in that case it is very useful, guys, so you can use it. So if you have, please, if you have any doubt, please let me know. I will try to answer your queries, and please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks to everyone. Thank you. Bye.